Let's say you like to play golf. Let's say you like to play golf. And then, but you hate to practice. Okay. You want to know just how to improve your game. So you know the golf is, the aim for golf, as usual, you know this what we call, you have the box here. And then you have the response. And also you have the factor here. The factors. And also you have noise here. So this is what we learned before lah. You have the response, you have the noise, you have the factors. Let me make it easy like this. Okay, let me make it more smaller like that. So the response for the golf is basically to lower the score. You need to be clear about the response first before you perform any experiment. That's the first thing you need to do lah when you perform DOE. Find the response first. So the idea of the golf, as most of you know, is that you have, for example, like this, and then you have people here, and then they just put have the golf ball, and then here you have, for example, the hole here. So they are hole. So this they want to bring the ball to the hole. Let's say there are 2 person playing. This is A. Let's say there are B also here. Let's say you have B here. So let's say this B. This is B. Also the same person, but they compete each other. So I just want to tell you the idea, the response, because some of you might not familiar with the golf. So normally the idea is that the less number you need to strike for the golf ball enter the hole, then you are winner lah. For example, let's say A, they need to strike. So they strike first, and then the golf ball stay here. And then they strike again, golf ball stay here. And then they strike again, and then only then it goes into this thing. So it need like 3 strike in order to put the ball into the into the hole. But for B, they just do like one whole thing. So in this case, B win lah. So the idea of the call, the response, the aim for the golf is to get a lower response. So that is the aim for the golf, the response for the golf. So now once we know the response, so this is the response, lower the score, we already know the response part. So we need to find the factors that can influence this response. Okay, there are many factors for this. For example, let's say I just list down first. Let's say type of club use, this thing lah, the club use, type of club. So it can be also type of ball. So this I just list down the factors, possible factors, type of ball. So because in golf, you don't play only with one ball. You can bring your own ball. Okay, later I show you. But this is one of the factors. A can use their own ball, B can use their own ball. So type of ball matters. So that can be one factors. Okay. And then maybe the third factors, maybe either you walk or you ride. You know the golf field is so wide, so either you walk or either you can take the cart. Okay, I got a message. The session is recorded. Yes. Okay. Anyway, and then the fourth factor, maybe whether you drink water or drink sport drink. Maybe the type of the beverage affect your performance. And maybe the other factors, for example, maybe the club material. Maybe you make from the from the composite, or maybe iron. The club, the driver itself make from what type of material. 6, maybe the club length. Okay, because this also matters. You can buy the different length of the club. Some club is long, some club is very short. The club for golf. And then what else? You can also type of shoes. And there are many type of shoes. That you wore. Maybe this effect. Maybe you just wear the slipper. Maybe you just wear the sport shoes, and so on. So this thing, if you go try to list all the factors that might affect your performance of the golf here to get the lower response, you will be never ending. It will never ending thing. So you as the experimenter must put the hole, must stop. You need to decide yourself. This is where the literature review, if you do like the experiment in the lab, in the whatever, if you are in the research agency or whatever, there are many factors to check, but you cannot check every factors. You need to put a hole. You need to constrain your factors. You might get like 100 factors. It's too much for you to check. So you as an experimenter must decide which one. Okay, because there are also even factors like this. Even factors like, let's say, I put the factors like whether you in the case of playing golf, maybe it matters for you. Maybe if morning, if you play morning or afternoon, that also can be a factors. Or it can be whether you play in the windy time, or you play in the calm environment. Normally during there are wind, then the ball might be affected, and so on. These two, the noise is not necessary for golf part. This is not necessarily the case, because this thing, even though it seems like the noise, you cannot control the weather, but you can control when you play. For example, if you don't like to play, if you know that the afternoon is like windy, you don't play in the afternoon, you play in the morning. So this we cannot say like a noise. We can say like what we call, still the factor can affect your performance. So you need to find which is the thing that you can control, which is the thing that you cannot control. The factors must be something that you can control. This is the important part. Can be controlled. This is critical. If you cannot control, for example, what you can control, maybe the humidity. I mean, you can control. I mean, you just don't play at night lah. Something like humidity. Let's say something like humidity. The environment, the environmental humidity. For example, maybe when you play in a humid place, maybe it will affect your ball, the material in the ball, and so on. So in terms of golf, I think that's maybe you can control also, because you just play in the afternoon lah. But if you are in the lab, let's say you are growing the bacteria. Let's say you are growing a bacteria. Let's say you're growing bacteria, and then you are growing the bacteria. Maybe you don't have incubator. Maybe you grow open. Maybe let's say you grow open. You don't have like a machine that can control the temperature. So in that case, then the surrounding temperature you cannot control. Because the bacteria, when you try to grow something like in the lab, you cannot just stop. Like playing golf, if for example raining, then you can stop. But let's say you can grow the bacteria in the shake flask or whatever. Once you start the process, you cannot stop, because the bacteria you cannot just ask the bacteria, okay, bacteria, please stop. No, you cannot. So if let's say you conduct this experiment in the open field, for example, you don't have the incubator, whatever. So the temperature, then humidity, and also relative humidity may affect this thing. Maybe at the morning, then the temperature is quite okay, but in the afternoon, the temperature become rise, and then at the night, it become colder. So that's all affect what we call that this bacteria grows lah. So this is what we call noise. Something that you really cannot change lah. You cannot control. This thing, morning, afternoon, windy or calm, in terms of golf, you somehow can control, but you don't want to put it as a factors. You don't care, okay? Because maybe because of the experience, you think you feel that based on your experience, you see that whether you play in the morning or afternoon, it doesn't matter. So you can just put these factors aside. You just focus on the factors that you think that will affect your performance. So that's decision. Okay, so let's say you have like 10, 12 factors. You need to choose. Let's say you want to choose 4 only. Let's say you want to choose these 4: type of club, type of ball, walk, and beverage. So let's say type of club. Just to make it clear. So you can see when you play golf, you have this type of golf club. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, like this. So this type of club, you can have the small. You can have the small, and then you have a big, oversized, or we call it oversized. This one small, regular, because there are many type of club. Maybe we focus on the driver. The driver is basically a type of club that can allow you to do this strike, and the golf ball will go so far. Okay, So if for example, let's say you are here, and then this thing is so far here, and then you use driver, let's say this 200 meters, so you use driver. If let's say you are here, and then the hole is here, you just so small, so less, then you use a different type of club. You use what we call something like this thing, putter, they call it putter or whatever the name lah, putters. So basically this is the type of the club lah. Even the club itself, there are many type, but this type is depend on your what you call your what you want to ni lah, what you want to do. Let's say in this case you just focus on the drivers, these drivers, the club that can make you strike the golf ball so far. Okay, but the drivers have two type. They are regular type and then the big type. So this is oversized. So let me put here so you can clearly see oversized. So let's say this, you want to check this. So this is the first thing that you think that you want to check lah. The second, you want to check about the type of ball. If you see the golf ball, as I said, the what we call the players can choose their own ball, can bring their own ball. So you can see the ball itself also have a different construction. This is what we call 2-piece. This is 3-piece. 3-piece. Okay. So different person, they like different type of ball. So 2-piece like this, 3-piece like they are like 3-piece that making the ball lah. So yeah, just like that. So you want to see whether 2-piece is better than 3-piece or 3-piece is better than 2-piece for your purpose. Okay, so that is the second thing that you want to check. So the third thing you want to check whether you walk or ride lah. So this you can see when you play golf, either you can go here. So this is number 3. So let me put here number 3. So so this third factor that you want to check whether you walking have some what we call some effect. Walking or riding have some effect on your performance. And lastly, the beverage. Let's say this thing, beverage. Let's say you want to check whether this fourth thing. Let's say this thing. This is number 4. Let's say I put this number 4. Number 4. So you want to check this 4 thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So either small and big, either 2-piece or 3-piece, the type of ball. And the third is either you walk versus ride. And the fourth factor is basically either you want to check whether water is better than the sport drink. So this is basically what you want to check. So you have 4 things. You have 4 things there, and then you want to check whether this. I think better I make it clean because this is not clean. So let me put this here lah. So easy later on. So let me put here so it's much clearer lah later. Let me organize a little bit so that it's easy for let me put here this thing. No, wait. I think that I put like this lah. I think put like this. Bear with me for a while. So this I think I want to put here. So it much clearer lah for you. This also like a design of experiment. You organize your what we call your things so that's easier for you to refer back again. It's also type of experiment actually. So let me put here 2, number 2. Where is the thing? Number 2, and then this number 3. So number 1 is basically type of driver. Number 2 is basically type of ball. Number 3 is mode of travel. And number 4 is basically beverage type. Okay, so you want to test this 4 thing. So you have this 4 thing you want to test: type of driver, type of ball, mode of travel, beverage type. And you want to check. If you look here, I put only 2 things: small or big, 2-piece or 3-piece, walk or ride, water and sport drink. This is what we call level. Okay, you have a factors. So this you have 4 factors here. Wait. you have 4 factors. Total, you have 4 factors. You have 4 factors, and then each factors is 2 level. So you have the first factors is basically regular. Let's say I put R versus the oversize. So this is what we call O. And then the second factor is you test 2 piece. So let's say we put number 2 versus 3 piece. So that is 3. And then the third factor is basically mode of travel. So either you walk, so W maybe, versus the riding, ride. So R. And then the fourth is what color? So the fourth, this either you choose water or what we call water also W. Maybe I put something versus the sport drink. S. Okay. So if you look here, this all factor, they are 2 level. So this is what we call level. This is what we call level. This thing is what we call level. So you have basically 4 factors at 2 level. 4 factors and each factors at 2 level. Okay, so this is what does it mean lah. 4 factors at 2 level. Level can be ni lah. 2 level. We can say this thing. We can put this as a low level. This high level. You can just put 2 level. Maybe low or high lah. High. So normally if you put in quote, low is negative, high is positive lah. So the low level for the ball is 2 piece. The high level for ball is 3 piece. So it's like that lah. So so that is the you have the 4 factors and 2 what we call 2 level. So if you do OFAT, what you will got, let's say you do OFAT of this thing, you might got something like this. The result might seem like this. Let me take this thing. The result might seem like this. Let me make it bigger a little bit. Okay, let's say you do 2 factors. Okay, so that thing. So if you do OFAT, let's say you do OFAT, the result might be like this. You have you need to do sequentially, meaning that you need to do this first, and then that, and then this, and after this, and then this. This is OFAT. Okay, so you see, if you look at this, what we call this graph, because we only have 2 data point for each, so you get something straight lah. You don't get like a curve. But if you look here, you test all this thing. So what you can see, let's look at the ball first. Let's look at the ball here. So you can see at number 2 and number 3, they are like horizontal. Okay, horizontal. Meaning that what? Meaning that they are what we call, they are no what we call no difference whether you use 2 ball or 3 ball, 2-piece ball or 3 ball. So that's what this mean. Okay. The important part when you do experiment is interpretation. I mean, you do the experiment, you get the result. But how you interpret the result is far more important actually. Experiment is one thing, but how to interpret the result is another thing. So here, if you see the line like this, for 2 factors, there are no interaction. So this is, it's not about no interaction, this is no difference. So here, no difference. No difference. Whether you use like 2-piece or 3-piece, there are no difference. And I mean, the interpretation is straightforward here. So you can see here, this is negative. When you what we call, when you this part, let me go here. When you write on the card, on the caddy there, so you see the performance improve. So you see the aim what? That's why you need to remember the aim. The aim is basically to reduce the score. So the lower here is better lah. So that's it's not necessarily when you perform experiment you need to get the maximum. Sometimes the minimum also important. In this case, in the golf case, the minimum is what we want. So you get this. So you know that when you write the caddy or write the card, so that is better for your performance. So you can somehow say like this. If you want to summarize this thing, you can say that in order to improve performance, what you do based on this OFAT result, based on the OFAT result, you can say what you do is that you use you use a regular size, you use ball is okay, and then you use the what we call regular size. Let me put like this lah. You use regular size driver, and then you also write and you consume water. So this is the conclusion based on the OFAT, because the ball doesn't matter. So this is the conclusion for the OFAT. Okay. But the problem with this, of course you have the result. When you do this experiment, of course you always get the result. But whether the result is correct or not is another matter. So if you look here, you don't see the interaction between factors. You just look driver alone, you look the ball alone, you look mode of travel alone, you look beverage alone. But if you do this in the DOE, you might get something like this. You might get something like this. Let me. You might get something like this. Okay, so let me make it bigger. Okay, you might see this bigger. Okay, so this is what we call interaction graph. Okay, this interaction graph. Interaction graph. You can see the interaction between two things. Between the driver. You see the driver, you have two things. You have oversized, you have driver, and also you have this beverage. So you have two things in one graph. And this is sekolah and the side is go. So interaction is what is interaction? Interaction is a failure of one factors to produce the same effects on the response at different level of another factors. Oh, it's quite wordy, but basically you just look here lah. Notice if you use the oversized driver, okay, let's see this part. Let's see. Let me put here. Let's see this. Okay, let's see this thing. Okay. Or maybe we just look at this. What we call this horizontal first lah. So let's see the horizontal part here. Notice if you use the regular size driver, it doesn't matter which beverage do you drink. It doesn't matter whether you drink the water or drink the sport drink. But if you use oversized driver here, the drink that you consume matters. So this is interaction. When you have a graph that is sort of like coincide each other like this, then you know they are what we call, they are interaction. So now you cannot simply say that what we call here the beverage. You see here on the OFAT, you see the beverage from your OFAT. You know that you drink the beverage, you always get high lah. But in this case, when you do this is what we call DOE. When you do DOE, it's not necessarily the case. If you use the regular size driver, okay, if you look here, the driver on the OFAT, you look here and the driver on the OFAT. If you use the regular size, it will improve, right? It will improve here. It will improve. It go down. But if you look at this DOE graph, regular size driver have no effect if you give no effect whether you drink water or the sport drink. But if you use oversize, in this case, for example here, for the OFAT, you can see the oversize is always bad. From the OFAT, you'd see that the oversize is always bad. But with the DOE, when you see the interaction, you now know that the oversize not necessarily bad at all time. Okay, if you use this oversize and drink water, if you oversize size driver plus drink water, you get better result. You get better result. In this case, from the OFAT result, you just know that you must use only regular size. So you can see there are no interaction. You cannot see the interaction between this regular or between driver and also the beverage. Here. So let me put here. But with the DOE, you can see the interaction. This is what we call the interaction. You want to find what happened if you use a different thing. And this interaction, this is what we call interaction. Let me put here. interaction, and this interaction is interaction between factors, because you see these factors, this also factors, driver is one factors, beverage are all factors. Interaction between factors is common, and if they do occur, sometimes interaction doesn't occur, but if they do occurs, then OFAT will produce pure result. Okay, sometimes there are no interaction at all, but if let's say there are interaction in your factors, then OFAT will really give poor result lah. You don't get, so you can see this case lah, the difference between this thing. So how people do, how actually this DOE perform this interaction, how the design itself. So DOE do what we call factorial design. Okay, factorial design. Okay, so basically you deal with several factor at a time lah. At a time. So that is what make this totally different than OFATs. Okay, factors are varied together instead of one at a time. Okay, so I will talk about how the design of factors look like. Okay, after because now it's already 9:57, so I think if I continue now, then I will like stop halfway. So better I move to the next module lah. Next module. So in the next module, we will see how actually the DOE create this thing. How the DOE, the understanding behind the design lah. Because once you understand the design, it's easy for you. If not, you just ask the software, put the value, and then you think that the software crunch the data and get the result. There are no understanding behind that. It's like you are putting the black box inside the black box. You put something input, and then you get the output. Input, output. So you don't know what happened in the black box. So now after this, at 11 o'clock later on, I will tell you how actually this is designed. Because once you know how they design, then it's easy for you to appreciate the DOE thing lah.